Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. We are currently going through the book of 2 Samuel. Today we are going to be reading chapter 7. Again, we are doing this chapter by chapter. So if you have missed the previous chapters, please just go back to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to just find them right there. I'll be reading this chapter from the NLT version and then I will share my key lessons at the end of the reading. So kindly listen to the end and remember to introduce a friend to the Bible summary by sharing this link. Are you ready? Let's do this. All right, chapter 7. When King David was settled in his palace and the Lord had given him rest from all the surrounding enemies, the king summoned Nathan the prophet and said, "Look," David said, "I am living in a beautiful cedar palace, but the ark of God is out there in a tent." Nathan replied to the king, "Go ahead and do whatever you have in mind, for the Lord is with you." But the same night, the Lord said to Nathan, "Go and tell my servant David, this is what the Lord has declared. Are you the one to build a house for me to live in? I have never lived in a house. From the day I brought the Israelites out of Egypt until this very day, I've always moved from one place to another with a tent and a tabernacle as my dwelling. Yet no matter where I have gone with the Israelites, I have never once complained to Israelite tribal leaders, the shepherd of my people Israel. I have never asked them, 'Why haven't you built me a beautiful cedar house?' Now go and say to my servant David, this is what the Lord of heaven's armies has declared. I took you from the tending of sheep in the pastures and selected you to be the leader of my people. I have been with you wherever you have gone, and I have destroyed all your enemies before your eyes. Now I will make your name as famous as anyone who has ever lived on earth, and I will provide a homeland for my people Israel, planting them in a secure place where they will never be disturbed. Evil nations won't oppress them as they have done in the past, starting from the time I appointed judges to rule my people Israel, and I will give you rest from all your enemies. Furthermore, the Lord declares that he will make a house for you, a dynasty of kings." Eish! Promises after promises, guys. "For when you die and you are buried with your ancestors, I will raise up one of your descendants, your own offsprings, and I will make his kingdom strong. He is the one who will build a house, a temple for my name, and I will rescue his royal throne forever. I will be his father and he will be my son. If he sins, I will correct and discipline him with a rod like the father and any father would do. But my favor will not be taken from him as I took it from Saul, who I removed from your sight. Your house and your kingdom will continue before me for all the time, and your throne will be secure forever." So Nathan went back to David and told him everything the Lord had said in his vision. Then the king David went in and sat before the Lord and prayed, "Who am I, O sovereign Lord? And what is my family that you have brought me this far? And now, sovereign Lord, in addition to everything else, you speak of giving your servant a lasting dynasty? Do you deal with anyone this way, O sovereign Lord? What more can I say to you? You know what your servant is really like, sovereign Lord. Because of your promises and according to your will, you have done all these great things. You have made them known to your servants. How great you are, O sovereign Lord. There is none like you. We have never even heard of any other God like you. What other nations on earth is like your people Israel? What other nation, O God, have you redeemed from slavery to your own people? You made a great name for yourself when you redeemed your people from Egypt. You performed awesome miracles and drove out the nations and gods that stood in their ways. You made Israel your very own people, and forever you, O Lord, became their God. And now, O God, I am your servant. Do as you have promised concerning me and my family. Confirm it is a promise that will last forever. And may your name be honored forever, so that everyone will say, the Lord of heavenly armies is God over Israel. And may the house of your servant David continue before you forever. O Lord of heavenly armies, God of Israel, I have been bold enough to pray this prayer to you, because you have revealed all this to your servant, saying, I will build a house for you, a dynasty of kings. For you, O Lord, O sovereign Lord, your words are beautiful. You have promised these good things to your servant. And now may it please you to bless the house of your servant, so that it may continue before you. For you have spoken, and when you grant a blessing to your servant, O sovereign Lord, it is an eternal blessing. Oh my goodness, this is great. The main occurrences in this chapter is that David is proposing to build God a permanent house, so that God stops sitting in a tent. But God's response to David's offer is with a promise upon a promise, and then David makes a thanksgiving prayer. You see, David had a desire and a plan to build God a permanent structure, a temple. He had great intentions, but God had other plans, and it would seem like he said no to David's initial request, but he promised to make David's descendants far much greater, and even David himself to make him as famous as nobody else has ever been. God's covenant with David promised that his house and the kingdom would endure before God forever. And we later see the Messiah coming from David's lineage, and that is the son that would accomplish the desire of. And then there's a son, who is Solomon, that would accomplish the desire of David's heart to build God, or rather the ark of God, a permanent temple. In awe of the magnitude of God's promises, David humbly praises the Lord for his goodness and fully trusted that God would do just as he said. This is amazing. You see, the thing is, humans, including me, especially me, we don't like to hear the word no. But God sometimes says no, in spite of our good intentions and sincere hearts. And most times his no, I'm saying quote unquote no, is not as elaborate as how he said it to David, sandwiched and glazed with promises. Because God basically just said, no, you won't build me a temple, your son will. But it was glazed with promises and sandwiched. That no was like over there, glazed and sandwiched with promises. So my question is, how do you respond to God's plan that are different to yours? Because sometimes our plans are completely different. Not even some. Most times our plans are either too small for God. God has bigger plans, or they're completely off from what God has planned for us. How willing are we to embrace whatever plan that God has for us? How willing are we to embrace it? What's our attitude when God says no, or when he says not now, or when he says not you? Because it could be no, it could be not now, it could be not you. Because when he said not you to David, it was not you, but your son will build the temple for me. So it is evident that God can say not now, or say not you, or even just say, hii direction nataka kwenda, I have a better plan for you. So what's our attitude? When we don't understand the why, we have to teach our minds and our hearts to trust that our sovereign Lord, I love that word, sovereign Lord, has the best and the very best interest, our very best interest at his heart. We need to trust the Lord to open doors of opportunity in his timing. And when we do, the gains, I promise you that when you trust the Lord, when you trust his timing, when you trust that his timing is right, even when it feels like it is not, even when it feels like he's telling you no, even when it's telling you feel like his plans are so off what you have planned. Imagine, we need to learn to trust the Lord and trust that he has a greater interest for us in his heart, and that the gains of trusting him will always, always, always be more than what we were initially asking for. We need to trust that the gains of trusting God's plan, God's interest for us, God's ways always are better than what it is that we were initially asking for. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. See you tomorrow.